Okay, welcome to AI I Learned Today with Datopian. Today, and my colleague Anu, who's the CTO at Datopian, and I'm Rufus Pollock, co-founder of Life Itself, founder of Datopian, and president and founder of the Open Knowledge Foundation. So, on today's session, we just wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been seeing here in the shift from kind of coding to managing coding agents. So I think like quite a few people out there who've been talking about it maybe the last 3 or 4 months, and certainly last 6 months have seen like a dramatic shift. Certainly even from a year ago, where we first had the kind of first vibe coding, the first ability to let AI do coding. It's now in many engineering teams, leading engineering teams, there is no hand coding anymore. You're just managing agents. And maybe Anu, you want to share a little bit about what we've been learning and experimenting with at Datopian over the last few months as that's been happening.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I think for us, it was the changing moment was that we needed to manage, develop, maintain multiple projects in parallel. So, for example, myself, I have few projects which which existed prior to this AI era. That was like maintained and developed in a classic way, in traditional way. We wrote code ourselves. We pushed it to GitHub. We deployed. All of this was happening sort of manually, and then with AI changes, we started doing it through the AI agents. Like we started doing it with Claude Code, with Codex, with Gemini, CLI, and so on. And now we have a mix of products that was created before and also products that was created like recently with AI from the ground. Yeah, so this is how we've been, in the past year or so.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to say is that there's, I think it's Steve Yeager's post, like this kind of journey of an AO programmer where you're initially using AI to kind of help, kind of assist, autocomplete, fill in things, do boilerplate. But there's this kind of migration to where you're actually handing over fully to the AI agent. You're really creating plans,
Yeah.
and then you're moving into managing multiple agents at once. And I think for me, I can say it's been very exciting because I'd stopped programming. I mean, I didn't program that much myself anymore. And suddenly the role of being like a technical architect, I don't really, I can implement things. If you're someone who likes architecting, if you're someone who likes kind of planning a project, like a product owner role, suddenly actually you can implement a lot of the project yourself, which is exciting. But maybe we want to talk a little bit about this kind of frontier of like, how do you switch to moving from kind of AI assisted coding to basically where you're managing the AI, where we're kind of supporting it. What kind of things have you been learning? What kind of things have we been learning out of that? And what kind of things have we been experimenting with, recently in the last couple of months?
Yeah, sure. And I can share my screen for that.
Yeah.
Let me do it. So I'll share my entire screen. And here's my terminal. Yeah, and the current interface that you are seeing is basically Gastown, which is a project by Steve Yeager. He also created these beats, which is more like issues for AI agents. And I'm using Gastown on a daily basis. And the way it works is, so previously I was having something like code directory, and within that directory, I usually have many other directories where each directory is a Git repository. So, for example, within my code directory, I would go cd product number one, and then in it I can do things like npm install, npm run dev, and go to my VS Code and change code and so on. But now with Gastown, the things has changed. So what I usually do is I just go to the GT. Now it's GT stands for Gastown GT directory, and within it I start talking to Mayor, and all my repositories are now under this GT directory, and they are managed by Gastown, and I just need to tell it what I want to do and where. So, for example, on the bottom here, you can see it says DHB, which is Data Hub Block, DHN, which is Data Hub Next, and so on. So DA is like Datopian website, and basically, other bunch of other projects. So each of these are like Git repositories, so like it can be entire separate product or project. And I just need to tell it, like, for example, right now I have a lot of code changes in staging environment of Data Hub Next. So I can say in Data Hub Next, raise PR from staging again, I don't know, against production branches, and hit enter. And it basically has all the context that it needs. It knows where's my Data Hub Next repository on my local. It goes there, checks if everything is fine, for example. And then it also has access to my GH, which is GitHub CLI tool. And it can do everything through, CLI interface. And then, here you can see, while I was saying that it says PR created, and it gives me the link to the pull request. It doesn't merge, but it can also merge. If I say, okay, it looks good, just go and merge, it can go and merge. But basically now I can open it in my external browser. And here you go. So this one was created just now using my account. And also, it does the title, the description of the pull request. Basically now it's just about reviewing. Again, review can be done by another AI agent. I can ask it, and then merging, and then the deployment happens automatically. Okay.
Great. Yeah. So, this is almost like the next level of like moving out to even managing not only multiple projects, but basically kind of running kind of continuous loops or activity. Yeah. I think something for myself that I've noticed, there's this kind of huge kind of conceptual cultural shift is getting out of the way of the AI in a weird way. Like I still often do things, I suddenly think, wow, I could just delegate that, and there's still, I would also say what's I think interesting is there's still a lot of rough edges, but they're getting fixed quite quickly. Like today I experimented personally with trying to create Google Slides with the new like Google Workspace CLI and Codex and Claude, and the results were not bad. I was actually impressed. It did manage to create the slides. They weren't kind of rubbish. They were based actually on an existing slide template, but there was still stuff that was like off that needed fixing. But you can see that getting a lot better. And I think the other thing that I'm seeing is the co-evolution of the other end of the tooling for AI. So for example, the fact that Google have even released the Google Workspace CLI, that could have been out there years ago for humans, but they've released it because AI and agents really want that kind of thing. So the other thing that I joke at the moment is like, wow, the command line is back, baby. It used to be the command line was really for geeks, but with the advent of AI, because of the efficiency of the command line, because it's really built it's very suited for agents understanding usage compared to a graphical user interface, almost like going back to the origins of computing, because then the AI gives us a text interface or a chat interface or a conversation interface, but behind the scenes, it wants something that's pretty efficient. And that's a lot of our products, like right now at Datopian, we're like, okay, well, we have a Data Hub command line interface. We have command line interface there is one for CCAN and for data portals, but really like emphasizing that perhaps now as much as, if not maybe more than MCP servers. I think there's even a debate at the moment, like, will MCP stay around in the same way that it is versus just using like skills and kind of APIs and command line tools. Yeah, is there anything you want to say on that front, Andy? Because I know it's something you've also been thinking about, and
Yeah. So I think exactly. The MCP server was introduced, I think, more than a year ago now by Anthropic, and I'm not sure if it is still popular. I know that a lot of products has built MCP, and I think the main reason was that APIs
including
were,
us. Yeah.
yeah, including us exactly. And I think the reason for us, for example, it was because we didn't know if our APIs are easy to discover and understand by AI back then. But then, with these AI agents like Claude or Codex, if you have good written markdown document like agents.md, and if you have your CLI tool, then I, I don't really feel you need MCP always.
Yeah. So I think that's actually a big example of the shift. And as AI gets better, it almost what you need to have as guardrails for it, what you need to support it to work is getting almost less. And this is also like a bigger picture thing, which I want to talk about. It's a bit less AI learned today, but big picture is just like what's happening in terms of the pace of AI changing and what it's doing to software. I mean, even our own work is changing very rapidly here at Datopian in terms of our work around data management infrastructure, around data engineering, around data visualization, but in general, it's just like, wow, do I need a web designer? And not do I need a web designer, but do I need a web designer framework? Do I need Figma anymore? There's this huge shift in like what tooling we needed, which were in a way interfaces to underlying code. If you like, Figma is a design wrapper around HTML or React or something like that. And once you can kind of talk and discuss in this conversational way, do you need it? A lot of things that existed basically because of the friction between humans and machines are just going to kind of go away as AI kind of resolves that into a kind of conversational other interfaces. It's multimodal. It's not just conversational. You can give it images, text. I'm sitting there this morning. I was like, okay, I'm trying to build this kind of shelves in my corridor in my house. And there I was kind of bugging my wife, kind of being like, okay, well, I think I should do it like this, but what do you think, kind of, honey? She was like, I was like, oh, I'll just go ask, ChatGPT and take some pictures. And even if it's not right, I kind of have the conversation I might have had with my partner, but back and forth where I refine my own thoughts and understanding. And just, I get a plan. I have a plan and I'm able to go do it. Just don't turn off my phone there.
Yeah,
So
and I
yeah, I
think
think there's something kind of pretty significant happening there.
exactly. And the planning, I think, is one of the things that AI started doing very well. And probably this is one of the critical, like crucial moments, because all these tools like Gastown and Bits, they are about planning per AI agent, and then delegating this plan for implementation to that AI agent, and then overseeing if it's being implemented and so on. So yeah, I think this is very important, that it's not just you message a AI chatbot and then it gives you immediate response. It's more about like doing a plan for something more complex and then implementing it step by step.
And maybe it's also a thing to talk about. Maybe last for today is the change also in kind of like managing work within an organization. And one of the things I think both of us have mentioned was that a lot of the friction, funny enough, like I had a bit of a rant, I think about 2 months ago about GitHub, about how I was just fed up of going to GitHub, to the UI to kind of fill things in or do things that was kind of slow relatively now. There was this lag. And I was kind of reflecting, how my preference even for local markdown files. And maybe you're saying like this move to the terminal, like maybe you could say a bit about that, about moving out. That what AI is also enabling is that you have a kind of place where you can then, using tooling and the APIs they have, but talk to all these other places. But you no longer have to go out to all these other applications. You can kind of work from wherever your favorite, whether it's kind of Claude desktop or Codex or your command line. Can you say a bit about that as your experience as a kind of manager,
Yeah,
a technical lead and manager?
yeah, exactly. And I think it is still in transition, but I think it is probably the future. So the issue is that for myself, I need to remember interfaces, right? And the problem is GitHub has its own interface, which is actually great for me, but many people find it very technical. It's not easy to navigate. For example, even within the repository, you have to go to the issues tab. You need to find your issue, or you need to go to the board and find your issue and then open it and so on. Uh, or, for example, in our case, we do a lot of Vercel, and sometimes finding where environment variables are, just to check if environment variable is set for given project is difficult. And given that they have changed their interface recently, it's 2 times more difficult to find. And then, it just takes a lot of time clicking through. And both GitHub and Vercel has the CLI tools, right? The question is, how good are they? Like, can you do everything through the CLI? Probably you can do a lot of things already. But now with this terminal thing, the great thing is that you don't need to learn CLI. You don't need to learn the commands, how to use them. You just, point your AI agent to the documentation, make sure that it's installed on your computer, and then you can ask it, for example, go check if environment variable is actually set up on this project on Vercel, and so on. Or you can manage issues on GitHub. And I really find it very well, it's just easy, right? It's just easy just to type in or even dictate what you want to do. And and the question is how you're going to spend this 20 seconds of time while AI agent is doing all of this for you and bringing everything on your screen within terminal.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've also found a lot now is just the magic of kind of voice combined with these interfaces. For example, what I would used to do in a project board in GitHub, where I'm like trying to see where are we with the project, review it, and so on. I can do in a way from from the terminal, say like go list all the the top 150 open issues or the top 50 open issues, prioritize them, group them, blah blah blah. I think the one thing that then you do is often also at the moment with the kind of write back, the memory aspect, which is funny enough, I'm now, after kind of almost going off GitHub completely for a couple of months and trying to do stuff almost entirely locally, I'm back, but I don't really use GitHub issues directly much anymore, but I do use them almost as memory. I think people are using Linear this way and GitHub, which is kind of the memory. It's a way of sharing between the sessions just in the way they were before, a way of synchronizing between your team, but also synchronizing between AI processes, what you're doing. Well, anyway, any last thoughts for you today, Anu, before we sign off?
Yeah, I think one last thing is I think the challenge now is being on the same page with your team. I think it's getting more challenging since we don't use a lot of GitHub issues, for example, just to make sure that everyone knows what we are doing, and because sometimes you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, it's very important to be on the same page.
Well, great. A big thanks from the AI Learn Today team here, and hit subscribe if you want to hear more. We'll also be dropping some kind of small episodes about particular things. We're quite practically oriented here, and we look forward to hearing your feedback and any comments you've got. All the best.